been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Hey.
What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be painting this 3D printed fishing lure. Now, this fishing lure was made and sent over by Ellis 3D Prints. I believe he was on one of my live streams and we started talking about 3D printed fishing lures. He's like, yo, I make those, let me send you one. So he did, and today he actually sent me two. I've got, if that'll focus, yep. I got this guy too, so if you guys have a specific pattern you want to see on this other 3D printed bait. Today we're going to be doing a really simple pattern, so I figured this was the better bait for that decision. But Ellis 3D Prints, super cool. Custom prints, veteran owned, family oriented, exceptional quality and choice. I will have all of his links down in the description below. So if you want the blank that I'm painting today, go check out his website, and at the minimum, at least go check out his Facebook page and give him a follow to show him some support. So as I had mentioned, today we're going to be doing a really simple pattern, but it looks super juicy and you don't need any stencils. So I'm gonna put this one in the category of a beginner's lure painting pattern. The bait's going to be semi-transparent, so I'm not worried about doing a base coat of white. So what we're going to start with is a metallic bronze. Now it will be the third time that I've used this color, and it is a beautiful color. So you guys will hopefully be able to see it today. I'm going to be putting some layers of other paint on top of it, so maybe I might do a full video just showcasing this color. But either way, first layer is going to be metallic bronze, and this one you can apply straight from the bottle or thin it with the 4011 reducer. I'm going to be shooting it straight out of the bottle just so we can see what it looks like, and then we're going to be giving the entire bait head to toe, top to bottom, a nice layer, and that I'll probably do 2 layers with a nice hair drying in between. Okay, with our metallic bronze on, it probably doesn't look semi-transparent. I'm sure I'm going to get some heat for that in the comments below, but I was going to show you that you can still see the light through there. So on camera, it looks like it's a solid color, but whenever the light hits it, you can still see through there. So that's all I was getting at by it's going to be semi-transparent. Next up, we're going to be taking some bright red, and I'm using the transparent version of it. And what we're going to be doing, so I'm going to carefully try to spin this guy over. The goal with the transparent red is we're going to do the whole belly of the bait, and I'm also going to carry some of that red up on to the side of the bait, kind of behind the gill plate and maybe down a little bit. It's a lipless crankbait, so it gets skinnier at the back. So I don't want to go too crazy back here because I still want that metallic bronze to kind of be like the center color of the bait. So belly of the bait, we're going to carry it up a little bit higher just behind the gill plate and then kind of have it fade into that metallic bronze. Now I don't know about you guys, but the weather has been pretty ridiculous. I don't know if you can see it on my watch. It's 12 degrees outside currently. Shop does okay with weather like that, but it is kind of chilly in here, so my paints are a little bit thick. I had them sitting in front of the heater trying to warm them up so that way the viscosity, if we're going to use a fancy word, of them will be a little bit thinner. So bear with me if I have some troubles with my airbrush trying to spray some thick paint. All right, here we go with the bright red. Okay, next up we're going to be spraying some iridescent turquoise. Game plan for this one is going to be keeping it just up on the gill plate the best that we can. There's going to be some overspray. It's going to go onto our red and our bronze. That's okay. We should get a cool color mixture out of that, but focusing on the gill plate and all around the eye socket there. Also, I forgot to mention, we're also going to be taking some of the iridescent turquoise and carrying it right along the ridge of the bait. I'm going to be spraying right where it goes from the side of the bait to the top of the bait, and letting that overspray come down on the bronze just a little bit. I'm really trying to keep the bronze the center of the bait and our other colors kind of fading into it. So I'm going to do my best to do that and hopefully not cover up too much of our bronze. And while we're here, I'm gonna go ahead and hit it on the back. Hopefully this is looking good on camera for you guys. I know once the clear coat goes on, these colors are gonna pop, so it might look a little funky at the moment, but I promise we're gonna have a cool pattern here. We actually only have one more color, so that's why I was saying this is a super easy pattern, but looks wild, and I think it would be great for some muddy water conditions on a sunny day if we're getting specific. Next color up is going to be a transparent black. Does not have to be transparent. I just like how these are a little bit thinner, so they spray easier through the airbrush without having to water it down, or without having to thin it out. So I'm gonna clean out the airbrush. We'll switch over to our transparent black, and then I'll let you guys know what we're doing with it. Okay, with the black loaded up in the airbrush, I was gonna show you guys what we're going to be doing with that, and we're going to be adding some vertical stripes. Now, I was gonna try to do like a different, crazier pattern on here, but if you guys can see on his blank here, the scales are actually protruding from the side of the bait, or however you want to say that. So I didn't want to do anything to cover that up too much. So that's why we're keeping this one simple and just throwing some wild colors down on here. So a couple ways that you can go about this. I'm going to just freehand them because I don't want harsh lines. I want them to be nice, kind of like fuzzy lines on the side of the bait. Little subtle detail. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can use something like the stripe patterns, or you could always use the comb. This one I've got tape all over the place on it, but a comb works really good to get some nice vertical stripes on the bait. But as I had said, on this one we're just going to be freehanding them. And whenever you go to do some finer detail like this, I recommend bumping down your air pressure. I spray really high on my paints. I'm usually shooting around 35 to 40, which I think is a lot higher than most people. So for doing this, I bumped it down to about 30 PSI, which is still high. I think a lot of people spray around 20 or 25 PSI. That's just how I started, so that's what I'm used to. So if you're already spraying around 20, I would not bump your pressure down much more than that, because you might start getting your airbrush, might start spitting the paint. Okay, here we go for the vertical stripes. I'm going to start with one right behind the gill plate there, and I think we'll be able to do 1, 2, 3, and then like a fourth really small one back there. Also, when you're doing something like this, you want to be closer to the fishing lure. I'm going to be about right in there. If you get too close, it'll start spraying and then spreading out, kind of spider webbing out. So you don't want to get too close, but I am going to be closer than whenever you're doing like the other base colors. Not too shabby. Flip it over. We'll do the same thing on the other side. I'll go ahead and try to bring that second one down just a little bit more. All right, and with the black and the airbrush, what we're going to do is go ahead and darken up the back just a hair. And then I always like to darken up the eye socket just a little bit. That way there's a little bit more detail than just the blue up there. Okay, I think we've got our funky paint pattern here pretty well done. We just need to do some eyes. I do think it might have looked slightly better if I didn't go so dark on those, on the stripes. But I still think once the clear coat goes on, it's going to make the iridescent colors and that metallic bronze should pop very nicely. So last thing we gotta do is glue in the eyes. I'm gonna try to find some really juicy orange yellow ones. So I'll be right back and we'll get those put in. Okay, so the eyes we're going to go with is going to be these kind of weird looking ones. I actually picked these up off of Amazon, so if you guys want the link to those, let me know. We're gonna get these glued in. Ellis, I did want to say, I think it's pretty cool that your company's veteran owned. I'm assuming you're the veteran. I don't know if you've ever listened to the Sean Ryan podcast, or for anybody who hasn't, he interviews a lot of vets and they tell their stories, and man, listening to some of the things that those guys have been through is insane. I couldn't imagine. So I just wanted to say thank you guys to anybody who's a veteran, especially those who have seen combat. I appreciate you guys. Love you guys, and shout out to you and our beautiful country of the USA. So as I'd mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you guys want to show him some love and go follow his Facebook group, that would be awesome. I'll have that linked down in the description below. I hope I did your blank justice. I think once the clear coat goes on, should pop just a hair more. So again, one final shout out to Ellis 3D Prints. I'll have the stuff linked below. You guys go check them out, show them some love. I'm gonna get some clear coat put on this beautiful bait, and we'll come back and take a look at what it looks like all finished up.